hear me? Hello, 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 and welcome to 20 Years with a Narcissist. As y'all can see, we having a little bit of technical difficulties. I had a whole different setup, but I could not go live on my phone. I had to do it from the computer. So I'm hoping you guys can hear me well. This is my first episode, and of course, we are talking about narcissists. I was with mine for a total of 20 years on and off since the tender age of 14. But before we get into my story, let's talk about what a narcissist actually is. Let's go back to the origin of the word narcissist. Narcissus is a mythical Greek character, and he was a very, very handsome man, of course, right? He was the son of a river god. His mother was a nymph. And at the time, that was the option of women to choose from. They were nymphs, and you can compare them to like mermaids or, something of that character. Tashira, come plug it in. And sorry about that, guys. And Narcissus rejected the nymph. He wanted nothing to do with them. They admired him though because he was so handsome. They just fawned over him. But he would be like, get out my face. It was this one in particular named Echo. Because Narcissus was a hunter, he would be out with his companions hunting. Now, Echo, she was a little devious. She actually used to lie. It was this couple, and she used to lie to the wife about the whereabouts of the husband. The husband would go and cheat with other nymphs. So the wife ended up finding out, and she cursed her to only be able to repeat the last words that she hears. Hence the name Echo. Yeah, that's the origin of that word as well. So Echo was in the woods while, Narcissus was hunting, and he got separated from his companions. And he called out, hey, where's everybody? And of course she echoed, where is everybody? So he said it's something else, and she said it again. So he was like, hold up. So he figured out, like, maybe if I say, hey, come on, we got to go together. So she heard him say that, and only being able to say his last few words, she came running with her arms open, like, yes, we have to go together. And as soon as he got near her, he was like, he literally said, I would rather die than to let you have my body. This is what he said to this. So, of course, all she could say was have my body as she ran away in shame and, feeling horrible about herself. So, as the story goes on, Narcissus ends up getting cursed because the nymph goes back and tells, a seer or a witch of some sort who was able to curse him to pretty much fall in love with himself. So he goes by a reflection in the pond and sees himself and falls in love. He literally tries to kiss himself. It's two endings to the story. He tries to kiss himself and drowns in the puddle of water. And the other one, he just sits there and admires himself until he withered away and died. And then he ended up turning into a flower. So a narcissus flower is actually a beautiful flower. I mean, he was a handsome man, so of course the flower is going to be beautiful as well. But he ended up becoming a flower. So hence the story of Narcissus, a being, because we all at this, I need everybody to know and understand that a narcissist is not just a man. A narcissist is a woman, could be a woman, a child, the age, the profession, the religion, none of that matters. Anybody can be a narcissist. So the purpose of my podcast is to pretty much help you all understand, everything there is to know about a narcissist, so you can pretty much be up on game, so you can see them as they're coming, so you can dodge a bullet, if you will, because unfortunately, a relationship with a narcissist in any facet is unhealthy. So, what is the dictionary version or definition of narcissist? A narcissist, or a person with narcissistic personality disorder, is a person who has excessive interest in or admiration of oneself or one's physical appearance. They can become selfish, involving a sense of entitlement. They lack empathy. They have a need for admiration, self-centeredness, overconfident, inflated ego, and grandiosity. They want to be impressive. Ooh, look at me, and AKA insecure, and they lack empathy. Now, of course, there are levels to narcissism. There are healthy levels of narcissism, and then it ranges up to dangerous and or deadly levels of narcissism. So a healthy sense of narcissism, because we all have a sense of narcissism. We all have it because you have to care about yourself, right? We all love ourselves. We care about our appearance, how we look, how we feel, how we dress, how we present ourselves, of course, right? So there's nothing wrong with that. It's when the unhealthiness comes in when that sense of self dominates and overpowers everyone else's. Like, you do not matter. As long as my needs are met, as long as I get what I want, how I want it, then I'll care about you. But if my needs are not met, you can forget about it. So, with that being said, let's get into how I met mine at the tender age of 14. Of course, we were in high school. I was in ninth grade. I had just got to Upper Darby High School. And for the purpose of this podcast, I'm just going to call him my narc. He was my first one because unfortunately he was not the last. But in ninth grade, getting to high school, meeting, all these new people, it was like a whirlwind. Now, the funny thing is, me and my little cute self, I had seniors that were on my top. Like, they were like, hey girl, hey, who are you? Come here. So I actually had a thing for the quarterback at the time. And I, because he was a senior, it was almost like I was like a sneaky link. I'm gonna just keep it a being. So being a ninth grader, we were on the bottom floor. The seniors were on the third floor. So I would go up like before or after class and meet the quarterback and give him a hug. That's literally as far as it went with the quarterback. Like, he saw me, he liked me. Oh, I like you too. What's up? And we would meet and embrace each other. And y'all, that hug was everything. You couldn't tell me nothing. First of all, the fact that a senior wants me was everything. Like, what is happening? You couldn't tell me nothing. And it was funny because, if we crossed each other in passing and other female seniors would be around, they would be like, for real, a freshman though, like appalled at the idea, of him liking me. So unfortunately, that was short-lived because my narc decided that he was going to slide on up in there and claim me for himself. So the way that the curriculums were broken down, like the first half of the school year, you had certain classes, and then the second half of the school year, you had a whole new set. So when I switched into that whole new set of classes, rewind, before we got there, I think he ended up coming to one of my friends. And she pulled me out the classroom and was like, Shakira, come here. I want to introduce you to somebody. So I come out the classroom and whatnot. And I'm like, okay. She like, Shakira, narc, Shakira. I stood there. I looked at him. He looked at me. He didn't say nothing. So I left. I was like, what was that? So I headed back to class and was like, girl, don't you ever do nothing like that again. Like what was that? Like, what? And he had a nerve to have like an entourage with him, like had his whole little posse. Like, what is this? So once we switched over to the next curriculum of classes, he was in my class. And note, the class that he was in was like a child development class where we like took care of the babies that cried and, learned about all those type of things. And I'm like, it was an elective. Like, he had to choose that. Like, why would you choose this class? Because you knew it was going to be full of women and you wanted to be in a classroom full of females. Like, we just going to keep it a bean. So he's in my class, and me being the nerd that I was, I sat in the front. Now, he needed glasses. He couldn't really see. So the teacher would write all kinds of stuff on the board. So his perfect, way to get next to me was, oh, I can't see. Can I move closer? So the teacher moved him closer and ended up sitting him right behind me. I said, okay, this is not a coincidence, but okay. So he sat there, and then one of my friends sat next to him, and I've been braiding since I was 9. So she was like, can you braid my hair? I go to slide her my phone number, and he snatches it up. So I'm like, hey, yo, give me my phone number back. Like, real rap, you cannot call my house. Like, my dad is crazy, and I don't want you to get her. I don't want that for you, So I don't want to, get in trouble. I'm going to get in trouble. So, but he wasn't hearing none of that. He never gave up the number. I ended up having to rewrite the number for the friend so that I could do her hair. So fast forward, one day he decides to call. Now, at the time, I was working with my dad at the pizza store. So we were getting ready. It's after school. We're getting ready to go to work. My dad's upstairs getting dressed and the phone rings. I answer the phone and it's him. Hello, can I speak to Shakira? When I tell y'all my heart hit my toes, I was like, what? Click, hung up. I never even said a word. I hung up immediately. Soon as I got to school, I was like, so he took the hint. He didn't call back. But when I got to school, I was like, didn't I tell you you can't call my house? Are you mad? Thankfully, my dad never answered the phone because, back in the day, it was a landline and my dad could have answered the phone upstairs like, hello, who this? He did not, but it didn't matter because eventually my dad was going to meet him and he hated his guts. It was nothing nice, okay? So eventually I said, well, listen, since you clearly, want to talk to me, I'm going to call you. Let me call you and we'll talk. And me being the open book that I've always been, I was just telling them everything. And no, I'm only 14, so I can only tell them, the part of my life that I can remember up until now. And it was everything. So, narcissists, unfortunately, when you give them information, they pretty much store it as ammunition for later. Later on, I'm gonna pull that out and use that against you, or later on, I'm gonna use it against you somehow, some way. And I didn't know it. I didn't know no better. So, we was up till 5 a.m, so we fell asleep on the phone with each other. And over time, of course, you couldn't tell me I wasn't in love. We fell in love. That was my baby, okay? So, not long after, because I was a virgin, he wasn't. So he wanted to get some goods. And Shakira was not giving up the goods, okay? It was not happening. So he slid off and went and got him some goods from somewhere else. Now, no, we doing this back and forth. At some point, my mom started to let him come over the house. Me working at Peace Pizza, I would bring him food. His friend would come over sometimes too. And I would feed them both. I was just very hospitable. And they would come over and we would have a good time. So, we would fall asleep on the porch together. My dad would come home pissed, like, how dare he be in my house, and slam the door so hard, y'all, it would shake the whole house. Wake us up out of our sleep. Like, what the? Yeah, I'm here. Get up out my house. Like, but my mom said he could be here. Like, what's the problem? OMG. It was such a tug of war because my dad just was not feeling it at all. But lo and behold, that instinct, that Taurus instinct was telling him, this young man is bad news. But I really feel like any young man would have been bad news for my dad. Ain't nobody good enough for my baby, okay? But he allowed it in the way that he could, because my mom, she swayed him. So it was so crazy, the relationship, the dynamic. As I look back at it, like, he would do things like take one of my socks. Like, I would have on a pair of socks and he would just, tackle me down and take one of my socks off my foot and take it with him. And I was just like, I just thought that was so weird, because I was, what are you doing? Like, where's, because now I have all these socks with just one side. I don't have a whole pair of socks. Like, what am I supposed to do with this sock now? You might as well take the whole pair. Y'all, fast forward, when I finally decided to, lose my virginity to him, because I did. I go to his house and I see a box of these socks. All of my socks were in a box, like he were keeping them as a keepsake or something. To me, that was like a profession of love. He liked me. Like, who does this? Like, wow, you kept my socks? Now I'm, 15 going on 16, and it's like, oh, this is decent. I'm not seeing it for the weird and or red flag that it was. I'm seeing it as something that's just like, oh, yay, he likes me. And before we even got to, that stage of the game, he had sent me a letter. He had wrote me a letter professing his love. He's, I think I'm in love with you. You're the best thing I ever had, and all of this and that. And it was really because I wasn't fast like the other girls he had encountered in high school who just gave it up. I made him wait. Like, you're not, my daddy told me better than that. You're not just going to get me, it ain't going to be that sweet. But what happened was my mom and dad ended up divorcing. And upon that divorce, I had a little more freedom. And within that freedom, I was able to slide on over there and lose my virginity. So my dad ended up finding out because my mama threw me under the bus. She was mad at me about something, and I don't even know how it came out, but I ran track in school, and I had this particular track meet where both my narc and my dad showed up, and it was something about having the two males, men, boy, male, boy, man, boy in my life being at this meet. It was like I ended up running a personal record because I was just so ecstatic that both of them showed up. But at the end of the meet, I go over to my dad's car and I'm talking to him, and he's like, "You did such a good job." He's applauding me and everything like that. But then he goes to say, "So yeah, your mom telling me that you doing something with this boy," and heart hit my toes. My face just got blank. I'm like, huh? Like my mom said, what? Ain't no way. And I guess no words needed. Me just saying this was enough for my dad to know, like, oh, she wasn't lying. So you're not a virgin no more? Y'all, when I tell y'all, the narc was walking up with his friend in the parking lot, and my dad was in the car running. So he ends up pulling off and starts driving towards him. Literally was going to run him over with his car. And it was a truck. It was actually an expedition at the time. So I think, his thinking kicked in, and he ended up swerving around him. And then he pulled in the parking lot, parked up, and jumped out the car. So by now, I done ran up, and I'm literally holding my dad, who's 200 something pounds, and I'm little now. So you can imagine how little I was at 16. Like, Dad, no, please, no. And he like kind of running away. Like, I don't want to run like I'm a punk. But at the same time, should I run for my life? Like, is he trying to kill me or what? So yeah, it was one of them situations, and I ended up talking my dad down. I was like, Dad, it wasn't his fault. I asked for it. I went to my mom. I got on birth control. I got condoms to protect myself. I took all the necessary steps to do this thing the right way. Please don't be mad. Please don't hurt him. Please. So that was enough for my dad to kind of back off or whatever the case. But like I said, he never liked them ever since. It was just like, no, keep him away from me. But like I said, my mom and dad ended up getting divorced. So it was no longer an issue per se. Unfortunately, he ended up moving away. So we were in Upper Darby at the time, and he got sent back to live with his dad because he was messing up in school. He was getting kicked out. He was getting suspended. He ended up getting kicked out, and then he had to do night school. But so when he got kicked out, his mom sent him to his dad's in Philly, and I didn't really get to see him. So lo and behold, my mom and dad gets divorced, and guess where I end up? Back in Philly. I was like 10 minutes away from him. So now I'm at his house all the time. I meet his dad, and he loved me, of course, and that was pretty much all she wrote as far as us actually getting together. Now, my narc has a story, and it's the reason why narcissists become narcissists. It's so unfortunate because it's not really their fault, but at the same time, that doesn't mean I have to put up with your abuse on any level. You know what I'm saying? And that's really what it became. So while during that time, you figure I'm 16, 17, and I'm going back and forth to his house or whatever the case. And he would just have these moments where he just wanted to be in somebody else's space. Like, okay, so in true narc form, I'm gonna put you on the shelf. I'm gonna sit you right there over to the side real quick. I'll be back for you. Don't go nowhere, but I'm gonna be over here for a minute. So he started messing with somebody at school, and the girl, kept hearing about Shakira. Who's Shakira? Like, yeah, you messing with Shakira's narc? So she had to come find out who I was. So she approached me like, yeah, you and so, y'all mess with each other. Nope, sure don't. You got it. Have at it, girl. It's all you, boo. But in true narc form, he used her up. and discarded her like trash as well. And then he slid on back over here. And that literally became our vicious cycle because every time he came back over here, I would let him come. So here he is back. And then he would slide off again. And the next time he slid off, now he got a baby. Nope, the baby wasn't even his. Baby wasn't even his. He just was with this girl who just so happened to have a baby and decided to claim the kid. And, you know, what? So by the time I had gotten to getting pregnant with our firstborn at the tender age of 17, I was 17, but I turned 18 a few months later. And he was still with her. So I was like, you know what? I'm not going to keep this child because what I'm not going to do is compete with another woman for you to be here with me and help me raise this child. So that's what we're not going to do. So I remember, working at the French bakery, all on Payne, down at 30th Street, 30th Market. And I wanted to let him know, like, I'm pregnant, but you don't got to worry about it. I'm not going to keep it, right? And he came down here with her. Like, dang, I couldn't even have a conversation with you just one-on-one real quick. Like, really? And so, no. And literally, as I tried to, like, even approach him, she would literally come and stand right next to him, like what you about to say to my man? Because whatever you got to say to my man, you going to say to me. And it was like, you know what? Nah, I ain't got nothing to say. Y'all take care. So he ended up coming back up to my job, and I got to explain. And I believe this is, I'm going to do another episode of all the red flags because I didn't know what a red flag was. And I definitely didn't know what they looked like, how to discern whether or not that's what I was receiving, because this man told me, or he was a boy at the time, if you get rid of my child, our child, you might as well act like you never met me. You might as well act like I never existed to you. I said, say what? Like, so you just gonna throw everything we had in the trash if I don't keep this baby? Lo and behold, though, like I was never, down with abortion anyway. I didn't want to abort my child. I didn't want to, but I just didn't want to bring a child in here and have them suffer or go through even what I went through, because I didn't meet my biological father until I was 15 years old. I knew about him in the neighborhood, but it was the same situation. My mom was very young when she got pregnant and had me, and he was only a few years older. And my mom being the strong-minded individual that she is, it was like, I don't need you. My baby gonna be fine. You ain't got to worry about my daughter gonna get, to the point that she got somebody else's name on my birth certificate and everything. And he like, oh, well, that's, and she not minding. But I look just like him. I look just like my dad, y'all, my biological father. And it wasn't a mystery, but unfortunately, I didn't want my child. That situation affected me to not want that for any children that I gave birth to. So if this is how it's going to be, and you somewhere else, and we're not even together, and we're not even happy, like, we're not about to bring no child into this. We're not doing that. But he convinced me. He talked me into it. It was like, no, don't give her my baby. So I actually had an appointment and scheduled the same day as the abortion. They were scheduled on this day, because when I found out I was pregnant, it was like, well, let's just schedule you and bring you in. All right, cool. And then I called to have the abortion, and it ended up being on the same day. So it was like, which way you gonna go? What you gonna do? What you gonna do? But the narc was like, you gonna keep our child. That's what you gonna do. So now I'm pregnant, and throughout the pregnancy, the other woman ends up pregnant as well. So now we're pregnant together. So now I'm like, oh my goodness. So now the kids got to fight for attention and all of this. And I don't want to say fortunately for me, because she got out. She moved on and actually married and had a wonderful life, where I ended up with the narc for 20 years. So she ended up aborting her child. She did not keep her child. And we, got to be together. But it was never healthy. It wasn't good. I can't sit here and say it was all bad, because I don't think I would have lasted 20 years. But at the same time, like I said, it was a cycle. So whenever he would do anything to hurt, harm me, disrespect me in any way, I would flee. So during the pregnancy, that is the first time I experienced my first STD. And it was horrible. It was very, very bad. And I remember coming out of the doctor's office because he was driving, and I got in the car and I was like, yeah, I got gonorrhea or whatever it was. And he laughed. He chuckled. Well, at least you can get rid of it. At least it's something you can get rid of. What? Are you serious? And you would think somewhere in this beautiful brain of mine that I would have ran for the hills like, oh no, ain't no way. No, I went on to have 4 more children by him. 4 more. And it's a story. It is a story. I am going to write a book where you guys can get all of the details to that story, because I am only going to tell bits and pieces on my podcast. But y'all, it is a story. So after that, because I ended up giving birth to my child, and he's having all these like stuff oozing out his eyes and all kind of stuff from me having this STD and not realizing that I did, and it negatively affected our child. I have the child, and then you go and have another child on me. And it took a year and a half, because within that year and a half, he brought me STDs 2 more times. 2 more times, y'all. By the 3rd time, I said, okay, enough is enough. Enough is enough. I'm not gonna let you do this to me again. Like you don't have any respect for me or my body at all, because you just keep going over here and then coming back over here unprotected without a care in the world. That's insane. You will never touch me again, right? Here comes the first attempt of suicide. Oh, I might as well kill myself. I might as well just die. Nobody loves me. Nobody cares about me. So why should I live? Nope. I'm like 19 going on 20 maybe. And I got this child with him. Like, what do you mean you gonna kill yourself? You're not about to leave me by myself to take care of this baby. Like, no, I'm not about to become a statistic. You're not going anywhere. So, but it wasn't just gonna be that sweet. I said, okay, clearly something's wrong with you. Clearly there's something wrong with you. So we need to go get help. We need a therapist, a psychologist. We need some real professional help. So that was our first attempt at getting professional help. I set it all up because, of course, I'm the one with the medical insurance. So I make the appointment and we get on over there. And he's just just sitting there. He's just sitting there. And the therapist's like, yeah, so, Shakira, how do you feel? What made you come in here today? And I'm like, well, I just don't feel appreciated or respected. He's just keeps sleeping with other women and bringing me diseases and all kinds of nonsense. And it's just not fair. I don't want to be in a relationship like that. And she's like, well, to the narc, why, how did you hear what she said? How did you feel about, what she just said? Like, oh, huh? What you say? Say it again. What happened? Like, when I tell you checked out, all the way checked out. Him saying he was coming to therapy was just him saying he was coming to therapy. He never planned on participating in the therapy at all whatsoever. Not even a little bit. Nope, not at all. So, and like I said, that was the first attempt. You would think I would have been like, oh, okay, all right, well, we tried, and I see that you're not trying, so I'm going to be done with this. No. And by the time, a year and a half later, in 2006, by the time he had the other child, by then, because he, was in the streets, and he ended up getting caught up and got locked up. And while they gave him an option to, you can either go to the halfway house for 3 months or you can go to jail for a year. Of course, he's going to choose the halfway house. So he heads on over there, but no, he already got this other female that he's dealing with, unbeknownst to me. So I'm coming up to the halfway house to see him and visit him, bring him toiletries, all kind of stuff. And so was she. So one day I get a letter in the mail. He decided to write a letter and mail it to me. And I open up the letter. I'm reading this letter, y'all. First of all, a picture drops out of a baby. I'm like, who's the baby? What the heck is this? I read the letter, and the letter, what you're about to read, you're not going to like. But that baby is mine. Yeah. When I tell y'all heartbroken, you see the broken heart back there. This is my little makeshift backdrop. I found my exit, is what it says. 20 years with a narcissist. I was wondering if the letters were going to be too tiny. This is just my first setup. Of course, it's going to change and evolve over time. I just want to get, you know, this information to you all, to all the people. I really feel like it is vital that everybody knows what it looks like to encounter a narcissist. You can put a sociopath, psychopath. You can couple them all together, put them in the same box. Somebody with mental health illness. It's a disorder. It is not healthy and it is not normal. And I just want to let everybody know what it looks like. And me telling my story, I get to give you glimpses of, you know, ways or traits of these narcissists. Because once they pull you in and get you in their web, it is so difficult to untangle. And that's why I used a spider web as an example, because you know how a mosquito get caught in there. They can't get out. That web is so sticky and so strong. Y'all watch Spider-Man. You cannot get out of it. So even the ones who are in relationships with ones that are dangerous and deadly, that are physically abusing them and hurting them, threatening their lives, their family lives, and the family even tries to run and come save them and help them, like, girl, come here, you don't deserve that. I can't tell y'all how many times I heard that throughout my relationship with him. Shakira, you deserve better. Shakira, why? One of my sisters actually, like, she used to be around me all the time. She used to be at my house almost every day. Like, when I tell y'all we were inseparable, it was crazy because I didn't meet my biological father until I was 15, right? And then a year later, he got locked up and was going for 14 and a half years. And that man my narc got to abuse me to the fullest while he was away. And even though I had my father, the one who raised me, who you know, wiped my nose when I was sick, you know, put Vicks Vapor Rub on my chest, who kept a roof over my head, who fed me, who gave me my first job, you know, at Pete's Pizza, you know, folding the boxes and answering the phone and all of that. That's my father. That's the one who took care of me, which my biological definitely respects and takes his hat off and you know, and thanks him for that while he was gone. But him being gone, he just didn't know what was going on. And I ended up writing him a 10-page letter of everything. Like, you know, this is what was going on while you were gone. But being with this narc and getting me at such a young, tender age, it makes sense how I was in it for 20 years. Like I said, on and off, because when he would do me dirty, I would leave. I think the max amount of time I left before I was completely done was like 8 months. You know, I wouldn't answer the phone for him. I would, you know, make him wait. Like, nah, get out my face. You don't deserve me. Get out of here. Go and get. And but he never gave up. You know, he would work until he could pull me back into his web, and he did every single time. So I just, you know, I played the game because I didn't know that I was even in a game until I divorced him in 2020. But before I jump too far ahead, I just want to say, you know, because there's no real science to, you know, identify a narcissist. I can give you different traits. I can tell you, you know, different sayings, like that whole suicide thing. No real man that's strong and confident in themselves are going to talk about it in their own lives. Only an insecure being is going to talk like that. So that right there is a super red flag. That is a telltale, like a staple statement that narcissists make. Oh, I'm gonna just kill myself. I'm gonna just die. Oh, there's the rooftop. Go jump off. I'm just saying because otherwise they're gonna take you down with them. And it's really the last thing that you want. Because like I said, once you get caught up in that web, it is extremely difficult to get out of it. I am sitting here witnessing people around me who are in relationships with narcissists, and they are suffering. They are, like, you don't even realize that the relationship itself messes with your nervous system. Like you want to, because as women, like, we so strong. And like I said, a narcissist is not just a man. It could be anyone. So there's women who are out there doing this to men as well as the men doing it to the women. It's no exemptions here. And, you know, to watch it and I go back and be like, oh my gosh, is that how I looked? Was that me? Because when I tell you, my dad would beg and plead with me, like, baby, what else you want him to do to you? What else do you want him to do? Oh, you want him to bring you AIDS. You want HIV. Because he's going to keep sleeping with other women. He's going to keep cheating on you and doing you dirty and doing whatever he wants to do. He's not going to stop. He's not going to stop. Nah, he's not. So it's, what do you want to do? What are you going to do? And you can't be talking to somebody while pregnant and hormonal and think that anything you saying is sticking. Because it went in one ear and out the other. Daddy, I know you love me. I hear you. I believe you even. But I love that man and he need me. And I'm supposed to just leave him with a baby. I'm supposed to be a single mom. I ain't signed up to be nobody's single mom. I don't wanna. But I would have been cool being a single mom with just that one child. That would have been all right with me if I'd known better. So I really want my target audience to be the young ones. I want to catch them in middle school and over here in high school before you fall for the okie doke, before you think that you're so in love. Perfect example, my oldest daughter. She's 16. She just turned 16 September 24th. And Libra season, go y'all. I love my Libras. And last year she had a boyfriend, didn't tell me nothing about him. Of course, me being the mom that I am, I'm going through the phone, do. Who is this? What's going on here? Read the thread from back because I'm just not reading it in like May. I had to go back to February. Y'all, when I tell you it was all kind of vulgar, like inappropriate behind text messages between these two children, I had to shut it down, shut it clean down, shut it down, y'all. And when I tell you, she felt like her heart was broken, like it was me, ripped her heart out of her chest. But I love him. Say what? Why? Why do you love him? What did he do for you? What has he ever done for you? You love him based on what? Like, make it make sense. I'm just trying to figure out what you love. So that was something that she had to get over under and around and realize like that's not love. That's not love. You want to call it puppy love? Okay, because you're hormonal. You're just now getting into, your that puberty phase and all the hormones come rushing and you start to like, who you like. But that's what it is. You like them. You like them a lot, but you just like them. Love, man, I you know what? My next episode, I'm gonna write down the definition of love because love is so amazing. Love is so beautiful. And if you knew and understood what love was, you would know this ain't that. This is not that. So, yeah, I just want to get this word out to all. Like if I could go do lectures at the high schools, like, hey, can I come just have your kids for like a smooth, because I'm already going on 40 minutes on this live right here. Let me just talk to them for a minute. Let me just talk to them for a minute. Let me catch y'all before y'all graduate so y'all know what's up. So y'all know what to look for. So you know how all the subtle cues and things to look for when it comes to these unhealthy individuals who are going to come into your life and just use and abuse you, suck you dry, and then discard you like trash. Because believe it or not, y'all, it took for my narc to discard me to actually be done. I didn't leave him 100%. Every time I left, I would go date somebody else, and with the somebody else, I would be like, so my heart's still over there. Like, this ain't gonna really be nothing because I'm still in love with him. Straight like that. I was hooked. Hence the name of this episode. I was hooked. And it did not end there. Okay. I would like to end the live here though. I don't want to talk your heads off, but when I come back on my next episode, we will continue the story and we will talk further about what a narcissist looks like, things that they say to hook you, things that they do once they got you hooked. Please stay tuned. It's a lot more to tell. Thank you so very much for joining. I hope you all have a wonderful, blessed day. Until next time.